Skip it or stream it this week. We picked The Accident. Now, there's two shows currently on Netflix. I know because I went through this myself.
Oh, did you?
When Teri told me about it. One is a Welsh story, apparently. They're both about tragedies. The other one is actually a Spanish story. It's been overdubbed into English, which is where the dialogue gets a little wonky sometimes, but we can get into that later.
Yeah, sometimes the overdubbing is difficult to get right.
Yes,
but
indeed.
It premiered on Netflix August 21st, and it's getting a lot of attention because it's kind of controversial.
I like the short episodes. They're only about 40 minutes long.
Me too.
Because then it's easy to hop onto another one right away and you can justify it. Like, if I sit through another 40 minutes, not a big deal.
I got through all 10 episodes in 3 days.
I'm surprised it wasn't 3 hours for you. 10 episodes. Just put it on super fast and go all the way through. Now, I think this hit us different ways, okay? Which should make for an interesting conversation. But can you give a brief rundown of what happens in this series?
A birthday party takes a tragic turn where a bouncy castle blows away with children in it because it wasn't held pinned down properly. Tragically, 3 of the kids die because of the accident. And then it is basically a domino effect of all the families that were there and how it affects all of their lives. There's so many twists and turns. The plot twists are insane. It keeps you guessing.
I just felt there were so many stereotypes involved. It was kind of a turnoff from the start. But I noticed several reviewers were saying the same thing.
What were they saying?
Well, they were saying it was just stereotypical, and as soon as the accident happened and they were looking for somebody to blame, that it was pretty much predictable throughout the first episode, and after that, this particular reviewer was turned off. That was his take on it, okay?
Well, some people are saying it was the saddest Netflix series they've ever watched.
Or that,
You know, because it's mainly, I would say the theme of this TV series is, limited series, is revenge. It's like they're in so much pain, instead of realizing, well, it is an accident and accidents can happen. And apparently, if you Google bouncy castle accidents, they actually aren't that rare or uncommon. However, when people are in pain, sometimes they look for someone to blame. And then once their attention is set on the blame, then the revenge takes over. And it shows a lot of people trying to take revenge on others and how people deal with grief in different ways.
That revenge factor, and considering who the person was, and then the economic, class of everyone involved.
Yes, everybody was wealthy.
They thought, this is going to go in this direction, he said at the beginning, and sure enough, it did. And he thought that every character was taken to an extreme, and not only that, the extreme incident happened before you could even really see who the characters were. So it was almost like they were going for the shock factor of the event itself versus trying to set up the characters appropriately as to why they would want to do what they're doing.
Well, and it takes a while for you to get to know each character because there are several families that they follow. There's several characters. But what I found interesting was I loved how all the different storylines weave together quite nicely. I love the twists and turns of the show. I did find it very sad because right away something very, very sad happens, the death of 3 children. And you'd think that that's going to be the saddest thing that's going to happen in this series, but it actually gets worse, Tim.
No.
And then just when you think things can't get worse, they get even worse.
Let me ask you this, because you've seen the whole series now. For someone like me or that reviewer that thought it was playing on stereotypes right away and took those stereotypes to an extreme after 1 or 2 episodes, should either of us continue to watch it? Do you think it's going to surprise us as it goes on?
I think it will, and there is a glimmer of hope and redemption at the very, very end. And I was hoping there'd be, because we looked at each other at one point, my husband and I were like, really? Seriously? Could we get some good news?
Well, yeah, maybe that's the thing too. I thought part of it was unbelievable, the extreme reaction immediately, like within the first 20 minutes, I'm like, oh, come on. Like, you might be thinking you want to do that, but are you going to do that quickly?
Oh, right.
You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. But those are one of the extreme things I'm talking about, where it's just like, it's not quite, it doesn't seem quite real life.
That guy plays the ultimate bad guy.
Right, okay.
There is one character that is so evil in every aspect of his life. He actually made it entertaining to watch. He is the ultimate villain in the show.
Right.
And, I mean, his own family can't stand him.
Well, that's why
if you watch till the end, there may be some redemption for some characters, and there may be some karmic retribution for others, or justice. Yeah.
Okay.
So all I'm going to say is I'd say it's worth watching all 10 episodes, but if you get through 1 or 2 and you're not interested, then skip it. But if you've liked the first 2 episodes, view on.
All right. I'll give it a tentative I'm not sure on the stream right now because I need to see more. Terry says, what's your take on it?
I'm going to say stream it.
So it's called The Accident, and it's the Spanish series. It's currently on Netflix.